we need to continue to echo in the society. If you don't feel okay, leave. Even if you just married today and you entered and now saw that it is one chance you have entered, my sister, walk out. My brother, walk out. It's as simple as that. The thing about programming, what you have just described, is called programming. Everybody is programmed. Every human being is born just as plain as this table. It's called a tabula rasa. It's a plain slate. So when you're born into this world, what you eventually become when you are older would be as a result of all the things that you have captured. And you capture things with every sense of your body. If it is the smell, if it is all your senses, you're taking in information, you're soaking it in. So there's something they call the iceberg effect. So you see the iceberg, you just see the tip. That's all you see. What can sink a ship is what is really embedded underneath that iceberg. So you just see the tip. You see, that's why when the sailors, when they see those icebergs from afar, they start to send missiles to explode and clear them off, because they understand the power of that tiny thing that you are seeing that is just a tiny thing. So that's how it is done. So when we stay in situations where we think it is not affecting us, or it's not affecting, it's just maybe, or the thing is just affecting you, you are forgetting that your children, every single thing they're doing, you don't have to say it. And there's something that the mind does. There's a part of the brain that's called the RAS, right? That part of the brain does not understand does not understand negative commands. So when you give a command to say, I will never beat my wife, what that part of the brain sits and absorbs or understands or translates is, I will beat my wife. Do you understand? So that's why if you look at all of these, your aspire to perspire coaches, they teach you how to do positive affirmations. The reason you're doing those affirmations, right, it is because you are when you pronounce those words, you are consciously or subconsciously programming it into your system. So that's why you don't say, I will never be poor. You say, I will be rich. You just call what you want. It's the same thing. So when you see a child that says, I will never beat my wife, grow up years later finding himself or herself fighting, or beating or whatever, it is because of those simple programs. Now look at this woman and all the children around her. Do you understand? What they have done, to these children, you don't even want to know the extent. So some will push back, like, I would never try this. Like the anger that wells up inside it, but they will still find themselves doing the exact same thing. I had a coach once that said that, he saw his father use a belt every time on his mother. And that's how, it was one day he had already removed the belt and he was about to lift it to hit the wife. He now says, wait a minute, have I become my father? So that was when he now went into this deep knowledge of neuro-linguistic programming, how we need to really be intentional. Like I told you, when I was saying about even our leaders, what has happened over the years is that we have been programmed for violence. We've been programmed to accept, normalize everything domestic violence, in what form or shape or whatever it is. So we need to now consciously, you understand, unlearn some of those programmings, remove them and replace them with new programs in our minds. That's why somebody will ask you a very silly question. And he no beat you now. Or you say your spouse is cheating on you and you no bring and come house. Do you understand? Exactly. Like these are like, do you understand the emotional pain some people go through? At some point you now have to get to that point where you become very numb to emotions, so that you don't go and mess up your mind. Some people are emotional. We are all emotional beings, right? It might be heightened for some people, it might be mild for some people, but we are all emotional beings. So when you say certain things like, Shayna just touch your face like this, what's the meaning of that? If we don't begin to consciously put in those cultures that says it is wrong, and end it there, it will continue. That's why it will now continue to become this vicious cycle. So for these kinds of things, right, we need to continue to echo in the society. If you don't feel okay, leave. Even if you just married today and you entered and now saw that this is one chance you have entered, my sister, walk out. My brother, walk out. It's as simple as that. Let's normalize that it is okay for people, to end a relationship that is not beneficial, or a relationship that is hurting, or a relationship that is, that is bringing a lot of pain or whatever. It is this idea that you don't say, now just this thing, you justify. And you see, the thing about some of these things is that you justify this tiny thing.
Yeah.
As you continue to justify it, it continues to grow. It continues to grow till it will eat up your entire arm.
Yeah.
Because the behaviors don't change. Instead, it continues to grow. So when we see women like this and we say, and you will be shocked. See that woman that went viral? My son was so disappointed. I used that video. It was a bunch of women surrounded in the room that we even used it for TikTok. That woman that went viral, she was in a judge court that she was saying that, I entered the room and I saw a bunch of women and all of that. So when I used that soundtrack, my son said, Mommy, but do you know that this woman was going through a lot of pain when she said this? Why would you use this soundtrack for it? And I said, yeah, just because it was trending on TikTok. Guess what then happened? When she went back to the husband that they have said to the, now did another soundtrack, my son said she's just a joke. I don't believe maybe that first one even happened in the first place, because he felt very disappointed that after you had cried out and the whole world stood stand still, you now come back and say that you are going back to the same person that was putting you through misery, that you were crying bunch of women. Do you understand? So literally, right, it is that acceptance that it is okay for us to do, as long as, when I hear that as long as it's just that I'm not a violent person. It go rich person give you very hot slap. Don't come with us as long as. If somebody says they're uncomfortable, right, the first thing to do is, first of all, take the person out of that situation first. Let me see road to be able to now even think and rationalize. Do I really want this? Do I want to stay in this? Because you see, and I want to speak to young people that are not married yet, because it's important. If you see a guy and you just see one thing that you don't like, don't ever think that if you don't like it now, you will even hate it 10 times in the future. So don't ever think that thing will go away. It does not go away. So if you don't like something, say, oh please, oh sorry, this is a deal breaker for me, and walk away. But this one you would accept, it's nice in other areas. You see that one thing will be the end of the relationship. Is it that it will end life or it will end relationship? So anything that you see from day one, you understand? Let's also normalize being single. So let's say, you are in your 30s, you never marry. You are in your let's normalize it. It's okay. Now single, I don't keep person.